imagine if you're in an emergency. You pick up the phone and you dial 911, but you have to describe where you are, and you're unable to leverage the modern location technology on your device. Well, that is about to change. The next generation of 911 is fast approaching, and GIS will play a pivotal role in its evolution.
To help us envision the future of emergency response and address management, we are joined by our colleague Subany Arudchelvam, who is a technical solutions specialist here at Esri Canada in the Ontario region, and she's working with Esri Canada's tools to advance NG 911 in this country. Subany, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
We're so glad to have you here with us and to get us understanding what is happening in NG 911. So could you start us off by telling us what that is and what's going on, why people should know about this?
Yeah, so NG 911 is our new upgraded 911 system, and we've been in the E911 system for decades now. So the E911 system is when the emergency response system would like to locate you, they use a master index, which is just a table full of people's names and their addresses. So they are able to locate you by the landline that you call from, and then they associate that to an address. But now we are very much moved on to the cell phone systems, and we almost nobody uses the landline system. This is something that we need to upgrade to, and this will be the largest upgrade since the enhanced 911 that's been around for decades. So NG 911 is it is an digital internet protocol that will replace the analog 911 system, and it allows us for better location accuracy, quicker response time, and it'll support the new technology by using XY coordinates from our phone system.
That totally makes sense. And as I alluded to my little demo, it makes a lot of sense to be able to utilize the technology on our smartphone devices. I'm sure municipalities across the country need to begin to prepare for NG 911. So what do municipalities need to do to get started?
So municipalities, to get started, essentially, we need to create that foundation for our NG 911 system, which is our GIS layers. So in these GIS layers, what we need is the street addresses, so like the address points for all the houses and buildings that we have. And then we have our road center lines. We have our PSEP address point boundaries, which covers what areas will these emergency services know they will know to be responsible for. And then we have our provisioning boundaries, and these are just required items that municipalities need to have ready. And then they will then send it off to an aggregator such as TELUS or Bell, which will put all this data together and make sure it follows the NINA standards, which is created by emergency services to make sure there's a uniformity across all municipalities and everyone is following the same standards, which is what we call the NINA standards.
Seems like it would be pretty complicated for all these municipalities to get all this data together and send it off and make sure we have everything. So is there anything that Esri Canada is doing to help with that process?
Yeah, Esri Canada is very much involved in this huge upgrade, as it is very heavily GIS focused, and Esri Canada has been they created their GIS data model to help municipalities follow the NINA standards consistency that is required. And obviously, they have created the wonderful Address Manager application, which is a web-based solution that can be hosted by ArcGIS Online. And what it does is it allows you to update and publish those layers that you have put together. Once you've published it, you'll be able to add new addresses, but also the most important part is be consistent with your data, because everyone needs to have that uniform data to make sure this this is consistent all around. So what it does is it'll make sure you have all the required fields, whether it's your postal code, your city, where it's where the data is coming from, when it was updated, and make sure that the data is up to date, which is very, very important to make sure we can ensure location accuracy, which is what the NG911 focuses on. So we can make sure of that by putting it into the Address Manager web application that Esri Canada has created, and they will send this off to the aggregator when it is complete.
That makes total sense, and you're absolutely right. Having consistent, up-to-date data is critical for any type of emergency response. So it's glad that you are, Esri Canada is working to standardize that. So you mentioned the address manager as an important piece of this. So why did Esri Canada make this address manager, and what does it do?
So the Address Manager is a web application, and then so once they've pushed over those layers and have them ready into the application, you're able to add road center lines by using a tool to draw the road in. You'll be able to use 3D layers to create that, see the floors in buildings, because when you have an emergency in a building, you have to be able to accurately locate the person and to help them as well, right? So now in this 3D system, you can see all the units and floors from this application, which is amazing. Another great thing with the Address Manager is they have a life cycle system. So say that you have a new a developing area in your municipality. You want to make sure that the new addresses are kept up to date and sent to that aggregator, which this Address Manager will allow you to do seamlessly. So it has a lot of great tools to help our GIS users to complete this goal on time and send it to the aggregator.
Yeah, it seems like a really useful tool, and I understand that it's going to make the process a lot easier for municipalities trying to
Mhm.
get that data aggregated. But I know even when things are made easy, there's still often some challenges, especially with getting started. So, are there any challenges that you can see that municipalities might face and how they can work to overcome those?
So I can see one that may be an issue is just getting started. I think having those layers and that data into your GIS system might be something that might be difficult for some, as some municipalities might not have a GIS administrator. They might not even have these layers already set in stone. That might be an obstacle that they need to come to collect this data. And Esri Canada is here to help, of course, and we want to make sure that everyone is able to reach the deadline to make this a seamless transition, as it is a huge upgrade, and it won't happen overnight. Obviously, the old system and the new system will work side by side until we are fully ready, but there will be a couple obstacles that we will need to surpass.
Wow, this is a really good overview of what's going to be happening in the next few years in NG911. So we really appreciate your time and giving us that peek, that sneak peek of what's about to happen. But before we let you go, we always like to ask our guests three takeaways from our discussion. So, what are three things our audience needs to remember about NG911?
So some key takeaways is the first one is that NG911 will help us make sure we use the right resources at the right time. So opening this new system with open hands and just, getting to know how the process works is a key takeaway, I believe, the first one. The second one is understanding that this shift won't happen over time. Like I said before, it will take some time. The old system and new system will work side by side to make sure that we are ready for NG911. And the last key takeaway is being educated on this new system. How can we be ready for an emergency, and how can we use our tools to to the to the advantage? For example, we want to know that we can use text messages, send pictures, send video calls from our phones, and send any sort of voice recordings. So we want to know all the tools that we have and be prepared for any emergency to help the emergency respond to us, get to us quickly as possible, and dispatch the right people to us.
Wow, Sabani, thank you so much for providing us this wonderful introduction to Next Generation 911. We really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us on the pod.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys.
That was Subany Arudchelvam. She is a technical solution specialist with the Ontario region at Esri Canada, and she called us in from Ajax, Ontario.